Good morning. This is my very first Facebook Live video, and I just wanted to show our parents out there who are working with their students a math activity that you can do, hopefully with things you have around your house. What I'm going to be using today, you can use with if you have Uno cards, or I actually prefer your playing cards because we're going to be doing an activity called Compare. And for your younger students who are still learning your number recognition and what those actual symbols represent, that'll give them an opportunity to count the objects that are on the cards. For this activity, I'm going to be using just a regular plain deck of cards, but I've taken out the face cards and I've left the aces inside. So what we'll do, I've already shuffled the cards, and what you would do, you would just divide the cards between the number of children who will be playing the game. Divide out all the cards, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to divide that many. So you'll just go on and say 1, 2, 3, compare. Then you will have those two cards. So this person has 7, this person has 1. So the person who has the greater number wins those two cards. And you keep going. 1, 2, 3, compare. This person has the greater card, so this person wins. But to make sure you're getting the math concepts in, start using that vocabulary. 1, 2, 3, compare. This person could say something like, I win because 7 is greater than 6. 1, 2, 3, compare. I win because 10 is greater than 8. So that can be something you do very quickly, just comparing using greater than. But you can also use the same concept using less than. And like I said again, for your smaller children who still need that time to count, you have the things on here, the symbols on here that they can actually count to help them with that number recognition. So as you get a little older, instead of just taking time, you can actually see who can identify the greater one quicker. So it becomes a little more competitive. So instead of just saying 1, 2, 3, compare, oh, now both people can be looking at those numbers and say, oh, 7 is greater. Whoever says it faster is the one who wins those two cards. Okay, so now you're going into your number recognition and adding a speed or a competition component to it. Once you get a little bit older, you further divide the cards into 2 smaller piles for each person. So each person would turn 2 cards. And so they will have to, I'm sorry, I pulled the face cards in there as well. I apologize. But they can pull out 2 cards and get the sum of those numbers. So now instead of just comparing single digits, they're going to be comparing double digits. So now they're going to have to get that addition in, and then they will have to compare as well. So 1, 2, 3, compare. This person would have 8, while this person would have 14. So your students may need a little bit of time, your children may have a little bit of time to add those numbers before they compare. Again, you'll be able to see how they think about numbers, because if they already know that 8 is greater than 7, it could be an easy comparison, but ask them how they thought about it. That's really how you're going to get those math concepts in, when you get them to talk about how they thought about those numbers. Students even older than that can use this by comparing the products. Instead of adding those 2 digits together, they can multiply them. So, yeah. 10 times 10 versus 6 times 2. Now, that's when you plan as a family. You can play this game, boom, 1, 2, 3, bam, 1, 2, 3, bam, you know, get as fun or messy as you want to. That's up to you and your creativity. Now, when you want to have some time yourself, this can be an activity that your students can do alone as well, because they can pull out 2 cards by themselves and use the comparison symbols. For example, you have 10 and 10. So on a sheet of paper, we can write, let me get a bigger marker, the numbers that I have on both of my cards. So I had 10. So those are going to be the same. So I know I can use my equal symbol. My ace, which we can use as 1, and my 2. So my 1 and my 2. For your younger students, you can have them circle which one is greater. For your older students, use the comparison symbols so they can start practicing looking at those symbols and actually reading that as a number sentence. 1 is less than 2. We want to make sure we are using those expressions so that as they grow and learn more mathematical concepts, they'll be able to transfer that knowledge all the way up. Now, like I said, this can be used with any type of cards that you have at your house. If you don't have any type of cards, whether it's Uno cards, playing cards, if you have any other board games that use dice, dice can be used, or as we call them in math classroom, your random number cube generators. Okay, so one person, if you're working with your smaller students, you can have each person have a die and they just take turns rolling it. And you can still compare those numbers the same way. 3 is less than 5. And we just take turns rolling those. 3 is less than 6, or we can talk about which one is greater. 6 is greater than 3. Again, it's about the power of those math conversations. How are they thinking about numbers? How are they putting those strategies together? And what are they doing with them? When they're practicing by themselves, they can write those things down. And for your smaller students, they can circle the greater than or the less than, whichever one you want to focus on, or you can have them write it down. Going back to your older students, we can put our face cards into play using our same comparing game by making those a variable. For those of you who have children who are a little competitive and you know they'll try to change up the rules, make sure you write down what each number or each letter represents. Your jacks or your J's could represent 10, I don't know. Queens can represent 11, whatever. Just make sure that they are being consistent is what that variable is. That's going to get them into some algebra concepts. And then when they are pulling those numbers, they can still either add or multiply those numbers together and then compare against what the other person has. Again, this can be something that they record down on a piece of paper so they can go back and play by themselves, or it can be something you can use later to compare who won the game. So this is something quick and easy you can do. Again, it's not about making a lot of things difficult as far as using your math things. Math is going to be all around your house. It's just about being creative. Parents, you can do this. If there is anything that you would like to see, please let me know. I apologize for all the shakiness. Like I said, this is my very first one. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me. If you decide to let your children play this game or you're playing at a family, please, please, please take a picture and send it to me. I would love to see how you are making the most of this time. If you need some other suggestions, shoot those to me in an email. You can email me at teacherfoster@gmail.com, or you can send me a message. I'm all about doing whatever I need to do to plant the seeds and foster the future. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.